Right, so I just broke this vid up into another part because I was disturbed in the act of vlogging. I thought somebody was coming in the building, but they weren't. It was auditory distortions. So visual distortions, zigzags is quite common. It's quite interesting because sometimes people see zigzags in psychedelic experiences, and in on ancient monuments sometimes the carvings are zigzag shapes, which are kind of similar to the ones you get in migraine, which is interesting, isn't it? So that's first thing. People can actually go pretty much blind through it. Then what I get as well is numbness. So the other day when I had the migraine, I had all around here was going numb. And then what I tend to get is usually just one side rather than the other, and I get numbness goes from one finger to the other, travels, it almost kind of leaves one finger as it goes to the next. And then the real doozy for me is not being able to speak. Knowing what I want to say, but complete gobbledygook coming out. And what I used to get at this point was a really nasty headache. It was like having been hit in the head with a cricket bat, and an intolerance of light. I'd have to lie in a dark room, and just if somebody opened the door and let a beam of light in, it was agony. That could last for quite some time. And nausea, I feel quite sick. Luckily I don't get those anymore, I just get the fun symptoms, which is kind of like free drugs. So, not that I'm advocating drug use to you on my channel by any means, but I do tend to sit back and enjoy it, but I'm very aware of how horrible it can be for migraine sufferers that do suffer the pain, because the pain is horrible. So it's a really, really bad headache. So you can get headaches that aren't migraine headaches that are as bad as migraine headaches, but migraine headaches tend to be quite high up there, really. They're kind of killers. Not literally killers, but they're killers. So that is the difference. And what's happening is kind of similar. So what happens with a headache is you get a dilation of the blood vessels expand, and that causes pain and throbbing. And in a migraine, the blood vessels expand and dilate. And my understanding is, and you can correct me wrong if you're medically trained or if you have more expertise on this, that that it kind of presses on certain parts of the brain and messes up the way the nerves function. So one of the scary things for people, particularly if you've not experienced migraine before, if you suddenly get one, is you might think you're having a stroke. Particularly as you can kind of get numbness down one side and losing the ability to speak, the numbness in the mouth, all those kinds of things. So if you've never had a migraine and you start to get symptoms, if you think it's a stroke, then I would always say don't take any chances. Get some medical advice, and quickly, because speed is very important with strokes. But hopefully, if you're experiencing some of this stuff, it is a migraine and not a stroke. Hopefully, it's not something you're going to continue to have. For people that do suffer with migraines, certain things trigger them. Wine seems to be the worst one. I've never been able to really get on with wine. Red wine's a killer. Champagne was always quite bad. Chocolates are always the things that people enjoy the most, isn't it? And oranges seems to be a common trigger. Flickering lights, kind of strip lights and bright lights, things like that. And there's a theory, I don't know if there's any evidence to suggest this, that migraine sufferers are a certain type of person. They are very driven and they don't rest. But when they do rest, when they finally rest, that's when it kicks in. And migraines classically happen at the end of a long weekend, which is kind of interesting, isn't it? Or the other theory is that they occur after you experience some form of relief. So you're worried about something, and then there's a sudden lowering of tension. So, for example, if you are an actor and you're working on a play, when the play's over, you might get migraine. You might be fine all that time. I don't know how scientific that is, but I've seen that written, and it's certainly I can relate to that. So that, my friends, is the difference between a headache and a migraine. I'm not going to go into any more depth on that, but the the purpose is just to clarify that, really, because where I get grumpy is often when I tell people I'm having a migraine and I specifically say, oh, you know, it's not a headache, you know, I'm getting some of the other symptoms. They don't get it, and people kind of constantly say, how's your head, how's your head? Well, my head's fine, it's just I'm blind and I can't speak. So that's something that's, and the other thing that kind of annoys me is that mere mortals who have headaches but not migraines, who dare to call their measly one paracetamol worthy headache a migraine, that's a bleeding liberty, isn't it? You know, that's an affront to the true migraine sufferer. So so if you have a migraine, you know it's a migraine. Okay, either because you feel horribly ill, or because you're getting these very specific symptoms. And if you're having a bad headache, and you have my sympathy. You know, bad headaches, it can be horrible. You know, it can be, you know, definitely worthy of sympathy, but they are not the same thing. It's a little bit like the difference between a cold and the flu. So that's another analogy of two things that are often compared when they don't go together, but I can't remember what it is now. That'll annoy me now. I'll have to post another video with that. So we got into two parts, so it'd be just to confuse the issue. So part 3 will be the live demo, me at my migraine best. So I hope you enjoy, and I will say farewell for now. So hoping that you are afflicted with no maladies whatsoever, whether they be headaches, migraines, or what have you. Be healthy and well, and I will be back in touch with more tomfoolery in the very near future. Take care.